Up here at WRTN, and we want your heavy metal requests right now. We have Mike, Dylan, and Luminente on the phones at 636-1460 or 636-0110. King Diamond will be down here in 20 minutes. The Fatal Meeting. Let's get back into it. Midnight Metal, 93.5 WRTN FM. Give us a call. Diamond has just arrived live in the studio. We got King Diamond live in the studio.
Anyway, we were saying Diamond is down here, King Diamond, and he's glad to be down here. If you want to give us a call on 914-636-0110 or 1460. In about not too long from now, we'll be doing an interview with King Diamond. He'll be talking to all of you. So if you want to give us a call right now to give us an idea of what questions you want to ask him, give us a call. And Lou and Mike and whoever else is on the phone will take your question down, okay? The number again is 914-636-0110 or 1460. Also, tonight we have tickets to give away to see
King Diamond live in the studio, and we've been waiting for this one. King Diamond, you just came from Denmark.
Yeah, that's right.
How you doing?
All right, great.
Okay, we have King Diamond in the studio, and we're going to talk to him in about 20 minutes. Let's see, we're going to play a song from Fatal Portrait in a couple of minutes. What do you want to play? Any song?
The Candle.
The Candle?
Yeah.
Okay, we have King Diamond in the studio. If you would like to talk to him, give us a call at 636-1460 or 636-0110. This is new from Accept. It's called Monster Man at Midnight Metal. It was going out to Ernie in New Jersey, Sean in Staten Island, Mary Ann in Portchester, and also for Al T in Island Hills. Is it Al T or Alfie?
Al T in Island Falls, I believe.
Okay.
Something like that. Before we had Excite a Cry of the Banshee for Kurt in Upside River, Margaret and Clifton, and to Rob and Rich from Nelson and Valley Stream.
Attacker, Kick Your Face for Bob and Wayne.
And double Aerosmith tune, Train Kept a Rolling in Kings and Queens for Edge in Ridgefield Park, and Lynn in Bud Lake.
What?
In Bud Lake, that's right.
Okay, also Accept Monster Man for Ramiro in Corona, and also for Pat in the Bronx.
And Jim in Valley Stream, we forgot that. And on top, Overkill, Field of Fire off the new LP, Field of
For
Fire.
Matt at Burger King.
For Matt in Burger King and Jim in Valley Stream. Wherever you are, Matt, just let us know which Burger King so you get us some free food in the future. Anyway, we have King Diamond in the studio. We have to finally got to give a hand to this command.
And
came down.
King, we've been calling this the Fatal Interview.
The Fatal Meeting.
It will be.
Okay. King Diamond, first of all, we want to ask you, how was your trip from Denmark?
It was a long trip because of a lot of security checks. You know, all the bombings and all that stuff. The insane man from Lebanon, he caused some delays. You know, of course, they had to check all the luggage and stuff.
Right.
But it was a nice trip.
Now, you're in town doing pre-tour press. What is it? You'll be in town till when? Tuesday?
Then I leave for Los Angeles.
Los Angeles, okay.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if you would like to talk to King Diamond, give us a call at 636-1460 or 636-0110. We're going to hit up a couple of commercials, play a tune, and come back and get into the King Diamond interview. Once again, if you would like to talk to him, 636-1460. Here at 93.5 WRTN, one of the stores that supplies Midnight Metal with the heavy metal records is Slip Disc in Valley Stream in Port Washington, and Tony's going to tell you why he loves them.
Oh, it's great. It's the best store to buy your record imports, exports, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, exports. And you can buy all your leather goods there, and many, many magazines to choose from. The only store in New York, in fact, in the country, that supplies more metal than any other place in the world. And let me just say, I suggest the King Diamond to go to the store to check out the place if he wants to pick up anything.
Yeah, I'd like to pick up some Danish beer there.
You could, maybe.
Yeah.
You could.
They got everything.
Yep. So go ahead, Matt. Tell them all info on the store.
In Valley Stream, they're at 68 Rockaway Avenue, 516-872-0516. And in Valley Stream, and in Port Washington, the new store, they're at 1023 Port Washington Boulevard, 516-944-7704. And Tony, why do you like going there?
Once again, it's a great start. That's all. It's simple as that. And Mike and Phil, a great bunch of guys. So just go there and just give them a call. Give us a call here, and whenever you want, just get down there. And when you buy something, just say you're from Midnight Metal, and they might set up something for you.
And right now, we're going to go to the air for some calls for King Diamond. RTN, who's this?
Matt, it's Jennifer.
Jennifer, how you doing?
What's up, Matt?
You want to ask King Diamond something?
Yeah, I want to ask him what he thinks of Bob Downey.
Bob Muldowney. A very touchy subject.
He's not a good friend of mine.
Okay, Jennifer.
Listen, one more, Matt.
Yeah.
I want an interview for him.
You want an interview from King Diamond?
Yeah.
From your magazine, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's let him answer that. What do you, she runs a magazine. Would you want to do an interview with her?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, sure. Jennifer,
Yeah.
you know what you do? Hold on the line, and I'll give him your address or whatever, or his manager.
All right, thanks a lot.
Okay? Hang
Yep.
on. RTN, you're on the air with King Diamond.
Yeah, this is Tony from Woodridge.
Hey, Tony, what's up?
Not much.
What would you like to ask him?
Are you going to be doing a U.S. tour soon?
Yeah, we're gonna start early July, and we're bringing the full new show with us, and there's gonna be a hell of a lot of things that you won't believe your eyes.
Now, King Diamond, I know I'm not going to believe my eyes because the new show is going to incorporate a magician and illusionist. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, we've been working with an illusionist, and he's come up with some pretty good tricks.
And is the illusionist Hans?
No, it's a person in Denmark. Some of the tricks we came up with ourselves, but you'll definitely get something for your eyes.
And the lines are going crazy for King Diamond, 636-1460, and you're on the air.
Hi, it's John Paul from the Bronx.
John, what would you like to ask King Diamond?
I heard rumors that he was going to go on tour with either with Megadeth or with Carnival and Whiplash. Which one of them is true?
Megadeth.
Okay, and
That's it.
that tour will be commencing in when, July?
Yeah, beginning of July.
Okay, so you heard it first on Midnight Metal. King Diamond and Megadeth going on tour, and do you know if you guys are going to play the Ritz in Manhattan? Do you know if you're going to be playing the Ritz in Manhattan, or you don't know?
I don't know what hall we're gonna be in, but we're definitely gonna play in New York, that's for sure.
Okay, RTN, you're on the air.
What's up, dude? Scott from Morris Park.
Scott, what do you want to ask King Diamond?
How did they get the idea for the tune Halloween?
Okay.
Well, we played in Chicago, 84 on Halloween, and it was just, an amazing experience. And we had such a fucking good time, so we just had to sort of describe the way things are when you're on the road, and it feels like Halloween when you're on the road. So that's all that's really into that story, and there's a lot of small hints like, hints to the occult. Are we ever gonna die and things like that? I believe myself in reincarnation, so that's some philosophy in that song as well. But mostly it's about having a good time and what Halloween's all about.
Okay. RTN, you're on the air. Who's this?
Yeah, hello, what's up?
How you doing? What do you want to ask King Diamond?
All right. You're like such a satanic dude. Now, why are you like so mellow? Like, I don't understand. I don't really get it.
Because
is this really you?
The King is the best. What do you want to say about that? She said, you're such a satanic guy, but you're so mellow.
So mellow, well, Satanists are very nice persons. People have misunderstood the whole thing about Satanism, They think that it's pure evil and that we're eating babies and drinking baby blood. And those who think that, they should try and read the Satanic Bible written by LaVey, because then they will understand that that's not what it's all about.
Now, you say something in the new issue of Metallion. Do you believe Anton LaVey? For those of you who don't know, I don't personally know very much about him, but Anton LaVey was who?
That's a guy from San Francisco who runs the Satanic Church, and he's the guy who formed the Satanic Church.
Right.
And he wrote a book which consists of 2/3 of pure life philosophy, and the last third is about magic.
Right.
And the main thing about that philosophy is accepting the way you were born, live out your feelings, don't feel ashamed about anything. You shouldn't run around feeling like you're a sinner just because you want to drink and fuck around or whatever you want to do, that's not sinful. It's stupid not to accept the way we're born, And then there's the magical side of it, that's more serious stuff. And people should stay away from it if they're not really into it.
Let me ask you something. Do you think all magicians, now this might be a dumb question, but do you think all magicians are Satanists and all Satanists might not be magicians? How does that work? I mean, I heard that from...
Well, you call it a Satanist because it goes further back than when Christianity started. It's a religion of the nature, and that's why the word Satan has been used ever since then, the horned god, that's what they call it. And it's not really a bad word when it all started, but it's become a bad word, and now everybody, when they hear that word, they think that they practice satanic and black magic, and that they only do that for evil purposes. And
Right.
There's no difference when you talk about black magic and white magic. Magic is magic, and that's it, and it's always used for the purpose of yourself.
Now, when you were singing with Mercyful Fate King Diamond, most of the lyrics, comparing them to the new King Diamond album, Fatal Portrait, were more they dealt with more satanic stuff. Do you feel on the new album, Fatal Portrait, you deal more with the occult, more with the darker side? They're not as many...
I'm singing about exactly the same stuff I've always done, you know, but the word Satan, the very word Satan means the powers of the unknown.
Right.
And it's not a guy with horns and a long tail. That's not what it's all about, because I don't believe in that. Satan means, according to that satanic Bible, the powers of the darkness.
Okay, and thanks to Tony, we just got the new issue of Metallion. And what do I want to say from here?
Well, I could say something about the lyrics. I didn't really finish that up. Because the lyrics on the new album, we don't use the word Satan and Lucifer because it's been misunderstood too much. And it's only natural because people have grown up with it, you know. It's all goes back to school, and everybody's taught that Satan is this and that, and that's just the way it is. And it's very difficult to be understood in the right way. I'd like to take an example, for instance, Satan's Fall, an old song.
Right.
7 satanic hell preachers bringing the blood of a newborn child. That's seen with Christian eyes. But in the middle of that song, the very essence of the song is actually only 2 lines. The 2 lines saying, use your demon eyes, uncover the disguise. Look through all these lies about Satanism and see what it really is, because it's not all that bad. And people are judging without really knowing. But it was hard for people to really discover those 2 lines. That was what it was really about, and it was not about killing babies and bringing baby blood around.
So do you believe the teachings of Anton LaVey, or do you reject them?
I go 100% for those teachings.
Okay. Tony has a question.
Yeah, I was going to ask a question also, because I spoke to Robert Sweet of Stripe. Are you familiar with the band?
I've heard the name, yeah. I know they throw Bibles in the head of people.
Right. Anyway, I spoke to him about the bands using satanic symbolism and stuff like that, and they believe that the bands take it. I told them they don't take it seriously. Many bands don't take it seriously, as you know, and they believe they take it much seriously if they act it, live it, talk about it. And I just want to ask you, what do you think of their comment on it, and also what do you think of their type of music or what they're doing right now with the total opposite of many bands are doing today?
Well, I haven't heard their music, but from what I've heard about the band, you know, I don't think they're any better than a band like Venom. You know, Venom are not singing about real Satanism. They're singing about the Christian sort of Satanism, where it's all about violence and blood and stuff. They've just turned the whole thing around. Now they're actually throwing Bibles in the head of people, and that's, you know, they're really agitating for Christianity, and we have never done that with Mercyful Fate. You know, if people are interested in hearing something about Satanism, they can always ask and we'll answer them. But we are definitely not preachers. We never have been and we never will be. We are entertainers when it comes to doing shows and albums, not preachers. If people if they're Christian and they want to stay that way, if they feel comfortable in being Christians, then stay that way. It's not a question of what you believe in, what religion you belong to. It's a question of your personality and what sort of a person you are. That's what counts, and not religion.
Let me ask you something, King Diamond. Do you believe that Satanism... How do you differ Satanism and the occult, for people who don't know? Is there a difference between them?
No, not in my opinion, no.
So for you, Satanism and the occult is the same thing?
Definitely, yeah. It all concerns the powers of the unknown.
Okay. Why don't we hear something from the unknown? This is from your new album, Fatal Portrait. It is called Halloween. Why don't you tell us about this song?
Yeah, I just told you about Halloween just before.
Okay.
I could do it again, you know. It was written, it's actually a song more about life on the road, because it feels like Halloween every night when you do a show that we do, because we like, you know, we scare people as much as we can when we do our shows, because it's a fact that people like to get scared. Or rather, they like the feeling of relief, knowing that it was not for real. And that's just what it feels like being on the road. Halloween every day, you know, and then there's some philosophy into the song as well.
Okay, if you would like to talk to King Diamond, give us a call, 636-1460. This is Halloween from King Diamond's new LP, Fatal Portrait at Midnight Metal, live in the studio. Give us a call, 636-1460 or 636-0110. King Diamond, Halloween from the new LP, Fatal Portrait. King Diamond is our live in-studio guest for tonight, and we're going to go back to the phones. If you would like to talk to him, give us a call at 636-1460, and you're on the air.
Matt?
Yeah.
It's Jennifer again. Listen, I got cut off.
What do you want?
What?
What would you like to ask the king, Jennifer?
Oh, I don't want to ask him anything. I want to interview him. I want to get, like, his address or something. Can you...
I'll tell you what. If you would like to contact him, call the management. You want the number?
No, I want interview him.
Okay, I'll give you the number, all right?
Give me it.
It's 212
Uh-huh.
489
Yeah.
7095.
All right, thanks a lot.
Bye-bye. RTN,
Yeah, how's it going?
you're on the air. What's your question?
I wanted to know why on all of his albums you never see his face.
His face?
Yeah.
Okay. Why is that, King Diamond?
Because, you know, it works the best way with the painting for the whole cover thing, for the whole mood that we want to put people into when they're going to listen to the album. There's been loads of pictures taken of my real face, you know, and you'll probably see a lot in the magazines pretty soon because they've been taking a lot of pictures over here without the mask, you know. It's not Kiss. I don't care if people take pictures of me without the mask, you know, but when it's really got to do with the band, it has to be with a mask. So, you know, backstage photos and stuff, people can just shoot away.
Okay. Speaking of pictures, the new LP, Fatal Portrait, how has that been received by, heavy metal people? You know, for people who don't know, and you should have the album or you should die, it has a painting of, how would you say, a depiction of a woman on it?
Yeah. It's, to me, she looks very virgin-like, and she's...
Not for long.
No, because nuns do have fun, you know. No, this is not a nun. It's not anything to do with a nun, but this girl is, there's something very mystical about the whole expression on her face. She seems a little bit too cool to be in the middle of flames. It should be pretty hot there, and she should be screaming from pain, you know, but there's something very mystical about it, and it depicts the scene with the story, the portrait where the mother is burning the portrait over the flame of the candle. So that is actually the portrait on flame you're seeing on the front cover.
Now, for the album cover for Fatal Portrait, was that your initial idea for that cover, or did you change it around a lot? Was that your first idea to go with the cover?
Yeah, it was.
Okay. Why don't we go back to the phones right now? If you would like to talk to King Diamond, 914-636-1460, and you're on the air. Hello?
Hey.
Yeah, you're on the air. What would you like to ask King Diamond?
Yeah, King Diamond. Where'd you get the two new guys from?
The two new guys?
Yeah.
Sweden. They're from Sweden. The drummer was playing in a local band in Denmark, and we sort of stole him from that band. And he knew the guitarist from back home in Gothenburg in Sweden, so they're very good old friends. And actually we phoned the guitarist up in the middle of the night on Monday. It was 3 in the morning, I guess. And we asked him if he could come to the studio by 10 the same day. And, we would like to check him out, whether he was good enough, or if he fitted in. And he came down and he plugged in his guitar, we just managed to say hi, and we played Dressed in White for him and said, there's a short solo piece for you there, try it out, let's see what you can do. And he listened to it twice, and then he recorded the solo that's on the album, so he definitely passed the test.
Now, King Diamond, for people who don't know, one of the first recruits for your new band was Floyd Constantine.
That's right, he was actually with us in the studio for the first week, but he just couldn't cope. He didn't do his work the way he should, He was more for having fun in the city instead of rehearsing and practicing the stuff that we had to record. So actually, he couldn't play all the written parts for the songs, and that pissed me off a bit.
Right, so who did you have? It was Floyd Constantine and
He worked with us from the beginning and 1 week in the recording studio.
Right.
And then we just had to exchange him with another guy, and Mickey fortunately knew Andy, and he seems to fit perfect in the band, so it couldn't be better.
Okay, let's go back to the phones. RTN, you're on the air.
Yeah, this is Alex from East Meadow.
Okay, what's your question for King Diamond?
I'd like to know about how he feels about like Motley Crue and Rat, their kind of metal compared to his kind of metal.
What are you saying? Are you saying, what's a...
He's trying to say what is the difference between that.
Are you saying what's the difference?
Yeah.
Okay.
In the music?
Well, Motley Crue is not playing that complicated music. It's more simple music, and it's a lot sing-along, the choruses are very much sing-along. It's a lot more commercialized than the music that we're playing. It's not the kind of music that I would like to play personally, but, I've got the second album from Motley Crue back home. What was the other band you mentioned?
I think she mentioned Rat.
Okay, I admit I haven't got any of their albums, so I haven't really listened to them.
You're a very lucky man.
Oh, really?
They're not that good. Anyway, why don't we get back to it? Why don't we give away some albums right now? We'll take some calls from one. How do you want to work this? No? No,
These are all
26.
questions.
Okay, all the lines are filled up right now. Tell us about this tune, Karen. If I'm correct, I did my Bible reading this afternoon, King Diamond. If I'm correct, the song you're writing about now is about the journey across the river Styx, how the damned were taken across the river. Am I right? I hope.
Karen is actually, that person is the ferryman, they call him. He's an old legend. And if you paid him enough, when you were dead and you had to cross the river Styx to the land of the dead, if you paid him enough, he would take you safe across that river. And then this one is written in a mocking way, I think.
So I guess this song, is this based on Greek mythology?
I don't know if it's a Greek legend or from where it comes, but it's definitely an old legend concerning death.
Okay, let's check it out. King Diamond, Karen. He is our special guest tonight. 636-1460 will be giving away copies of his new LP, Fatal Portrait, in just a second. So give us a call. Karen from Fatal Portrait. I'm our special guest for tonight, and you are on the air. Who's this?
Yeah, this is Black Metal Mike.
Mike, what do you want to ask King Diamond?
Yeah, I'd like to know why he broke up with Mercyful Fate.
Well, that was very much because of Hank Sherman. It all started on our tour here in the States, '84. In my opinion, he was dressing up like a faggot, was wearing short trousers in Washington, a pink jogging suit, He didn't want to do in-stores and interviews, and we had so much trouble with that guy, He started playing funk music in his guitar solos, and I just couldn't stand that sort of stuff. And then finally, what really made the decision was the 6 songs that I wrote on my own on the new album was already finished for the next Mercyful Fate album. When Hank came by my house and presented the new stuff that he wanted on the next Mercyful Fate album, and I tell you, all the guys in the band started laughing because we thought it was a joke. It had nothing to do with Mercyful Fate. It was pure pop music, and it was not even as heavy as Survivor. So we started laughing and thought it was a joke, and the guy got mad, and was really sincere about wanting those songs on the album, and it could be heavy on one side and poppy on the other side, and you say, fuck you, no way, we're not going to do that.
Oops.
But sorry, but okay, that's what really happened, so we just couldn't continue in that way. He didn't have any professionality left over for the band.
No, King Diamond, I also heard, besides your conflict with Hank Sherman, that did you think that Mercyful Fate was they were lacking in progression?
Not in progression, no, but professionality, especially Hank, he didn't have the right professional attitude, and that's mostly because he didn't believe in our music for the last year. He told me that he was in the band for the money and not for the music after we had split, So, and when a person doesn't go for the band because of the music, then it's impossible to be professional enough. And the new guys we got now, they are so top professional, and they're going 100%, over 100% for this band. So.
Now, when Mercyful Fate, Exciter, and Motorhead played the Capitol Theater a year and a half ago, were the arguments with Hank starting up then, or were you friends with him then, or when did the real conflict with Hank start?
We've been friends all the time, and we're still friends. There's no hard feelings about the whole thing, but I had some arguments after some of the gigs, when he was wearing short trousers. I said, if you do that again, I'm not going to go on stage because you're looking so ridiculous. And the same with his guitar solos. I really, I couldn't believe it when I saw the faces of the people, some places where he suddenly went from a classical piece in the beginning, very well played and everything, he went into funk riffs, and I just couldn't stand that.
So we were talking off air. The new Hank Sherman album, is it Motley Crue or what?
The new Hank Sherman album, well, no, it's not that heavy.
It's not as heavy as Motley Crue?
No way.
Tisk tisk.
It's the heaviest song would be Survivor.
Survivor?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't think we want to listen to the new Hank Sherman album. RTN, who's this?
Hey, what's up? This is Andre.
What would you like to ask King Diamond?
They're going to be touring with anyone else but Mercyful Fate?
No. King Diamond will not be touring with King Diamond and Mercyful Fate are 2 different bands. It's the King Diamond Megadeth tour. Okay? All right, take it easy. RTN, who's this? Hello? RTN, you're on the air. Hello? RTN? RTN?
Yeah, I wanted to ask King Diamond what band they listen to on the side.
Okay, he wants to know what bands do you listen to on the side.
I listen a lot to Alice Cooper, that's my favorite. And Ozzy Osbourne, Judas Priest, the old Led Zeppelin stuff, the old Black Sabbath stuff are some of my very favorites, and I listen a lot to Bocce in the old days. Another favorite is a band you might not have heard of. It's called Captain Beyond, but they're an excellent band. They did an album in '72 which consisted, of music that was far before that time, actually.
Now, King Diamond, you mentioned one of your influences is Alice Cooper. I sort of see the same thing Alice Cooper did was in entertainment. He did a lot of, what would you say, a lot of strange things. Why do you like Alice Cooper? The way he sings or the way he presented himself on stage?
Both. Especially his stage show, I've seen him and it just blew me away. I've never seen anything like it since. And concerning his singing, it's because of the way he's able to put himself in that very spot he's singing about. If he's singing about an asylum,
right?
You can hear it and feel it that he's there. He can just put himself in that place he's singing about, and that's just fantastic. He's got so many feelings behind what he's doing.
If there was one Alice Cooper song you had to name to date that you couldn't live without, what is your favorite Alice Cooper song?
It's Devil's Food and Black Widow.
Okay, I hope that's on the best of Alice Cooper, because that's the only album we have.
I've just checked, it's not, but
It's
we
not?
can do with another one.
Okay, why don't we go back to the phones for King Diamond, 636-1460, and you're on the air. Hello? Hello? No, it's not on the air. RTN?
I got a question for King Diamond.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the whole concept behind the album Melissa? I just want to know.
Melissa? What's the concept behind Melissa?
There's no specific concept on Melissa. It's different songs the whole way through. But there's a bit of a concept on Don't Break the Oath. You probably noticed Come to the Sabbath has references to Melissa.
Right.
But there's no concept on Melissa.
Now, on Melissa, Satan's Fall is 11 minutes plus. Was that something, was it hard to put a 11-minute song on an album? Were you thinking of, doing shorter songs? Was that hard to put an 11-minute song on an album?
Once it was written, we got really fond of it and we wanted to play it live and everything. And when we had rehearsed it for, really properly and everything was there, there was no problem recording it at all.
Okay, let's go back to the phones. RTN, who's this?
Yeah, this is Ken in Stony Brook.
Ken, how you doing?
All right, how you doing tonight?
What would you like to ask King Diamond?
Okay, the first thing I'd just like to make a statement. I'd like to thank the King for coming on the radio.
All right, what do you think of Midnight Metal?
Oh, it's great, man.
How long you been listening?
About, I'd say for a year now.
What do you
Been
think?
Back in New York.
What do you think of King Diamond's great album, Fatal Portrait?
I'm telling you, it's so much better than the old stuff.
Okay.
I really loved Mercyful Fate, and I wasn't too sure about the album coming out.
Right.
Losing Hank Sherman, because I have to admit I did like Hank Sherman's style on the guitars.
Let me ask you something. Since you say you liked Hank Sherman, what do you think of the new guys King Diamond has? I think they're hot.
Oh, I think they're fantastic.
Right. Okay. What would you like to ask them?
Well, going on to Anton LaVey.
Right.
King Diamond before mentioned about Anton LaVey's book, and I just had finished reading it about a month ago.
And is that the Satanic Bible?
Yes, the Satanic Bible.
Right.
And I myself, I have been into the satanic religion for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree 100% with everything that he's saying. And then I think it's about time that someone came on, and I want to admire him for
Okay.
having the guts to say it on the radio.
Would you like to ask him any specific question? Do you want answered?
No, thank you.
Okay. All right. Where you calling from?
Stony Brook.
Okay. Thanks for calling.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And WRTN, live with King Diamond. You're on the air.
Yeah,
Who's this?
Viper.
Viper. What would you like to ask King Diamond?
Yeah, I'd like to say something, right? Like, I want to tell him something that, you know how people overreact about black metal and stuff, right?
Right.
Well, in my opinion, when I listen to it, one, the music's wicked, I love it,
Mm-hmm.
But in my opinion, it's like, it's like a comic book, 'cause you go through an adventure through that sound and the words and everything. You see, I don't see people putting down The Exorcist
Right.
and in horror movies and stuff. Why should they put down black metal?
Viper, let me ask you something. Why do you like listening to black metal? Because it's, especially King Diamond, it's more complex, or what do you get out of listening to that style of music?
Well, one, it's more sophisticated in heavy. I think it's one of the most advanced in heavy metal.
Right.
It's not wimpy. It's up there.
It's
and it gets you more into that mood than, you know, because like the other basic metal, like, you know what I'm saying.
right.
Like the other basic metal is so soft, you know, compared to what these guys got and what other bands, you know, that are really thrashed out really got.
I think what you know what you're trying to say is black metal, or especially King Diamond. You know, he puts a lot of feeling into what he writes, and bands like Motley Crue and Rat, you know, do not want to be associated with feelings in their fans. Am I right?
Right.
Okay.
They're, you know, and it's like with their music, it's more of a realistic feeling. You can really, you know.
It's more of a money-making aspect.
Right.
There's a lot of feelings
And it's like
everything we do.
Okay. What do you want to say?
Yeah, and you know, and people, man, they just because it's music, they gotta overreact about it, you know. And the thing is that, but when it comes to a horror movie, oh, let's watch it. That's okay, you know, because they're conditioned to think that that's okay, you know. But since heavy metal and especially black metal, something more or less pretty new, right? People just have a hard time accepting it, you know, and understanding what the meaning behind the record is, because they don't want to open their ears and find out what's behind that.
The Melissa LP was among the PMRC's Dirty Dozen. King Diamond, you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, I'm grateful for them because they put it on there, because they're so stupid. Putting it on there just gives us a lot of promotion. If they really want to hurt us, they shouldn't mention our name.
Right.
But they do. And if they want to put stickers on the albums, it's fine with me, because people are going to go for the ones with the stickers. So if they're wise, they're not mentioning our names. But, you know, keep on trying.
Now, when I talked to you the first time over the phone when we did the first King Diamond interview, by the way, which was voted by the Midnight Metal listeners as the best Midnight Metal interview, the King Diamond interview, did you do a lot of interviews in Denmark on local radio stations about the PMRC?
Yes, I did. They really picked up on it in Denmark because we are a Danish band, of course, and they wanted to know more about that. We had trouble in Denmark in the beginning with some priests, and I had some discussions with them on the radio.
Right.
And they couldn't really defend their faith, you know. There was too many contradictions in the Bible. But one thing should be said, you know, there's definitely good things in the Bible, in the Christian Bible, which you can use today. But the other half of it is for the trash can because it's out of date, you know.
Mm. Okay, so when you were doing interviews in Denmark, it was you versus priest, you say?
Yeah, I've been versus a priest on the radio, yeah. And he was so furious when he left the studio because he couldn't defend anything, you know.
Okay. Let's go back to the phones right now for King Diamond, our very special, rare in-studio guest, and you're on the air. Who's this? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, you're on the air with King Diamond.
Bob from the Bronx.
What would you like to ask King Diamond?
I just want to say the King Diamond's a fucking poser.
Okay, let's go back to the air. RTN, who's this? Hello? RTN, you're on the air. You're on the air.
Hello, Joe, what's up?
Hey, what's up?
Oh, I'd like to hear from him at a concert. I saw him December 4th at the Beacon, right?
Right.
And at the end, like, they opened up with the oath. That was awesome, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at the end, you started to do Black Funeral, right? And then they cut you off and shit. What was the deal about that?
Well, we only had a certain time to play, and it was hard for us to really know how far we had got with our set. And we went off stage, and they told us we could do an encore. So we went in again, started on Black Funeral, and suddenly we couldn't do an encore anyway. So it was pretty messed up.
Okay. Now, did you do the Beacon Theater, the same tour you did the Capitol?
Yes.
That was the same tour, okay. What we'll do now, we're gonna go back to some earlier stuff when King Diamond was with Mercyful Fate from the Don't Break the Oath LP. And we're gonna hear a tune called The Oath. If you would like to talk to King Diamond, we're at 636-1460. And is there anything you would like to say about this song, King Diamond? The Oath?
It's, yeah, you know, people obviously know what it's all about. It's about being accepted in a satanic coven. That's what it's all about, you know, it's a ritual.
Okay. Mercyful Fate, The Oath from Midnight Metal. And that was The Oath from Mercyful Fate. Our special in-studio interview tonight is King Diamond, and we're going to go back to the phones. RTN, who's this?
This is Jason from Westwood.
Jason, what would you like to ask King Diamond?
First, I'd like to say that his new album's really good.
Okay.
And on his new album, he seems to talk about something called Molly a lot.
Right.
What's that supposed to mean?
Okay.
Molly's the name of a little girl, and she's the main character in the story that goes over 5 songs, the entire side 1 and the last song in side 2. And she's the main character together with her mother.
Okay. Do you want to tell us, any more about Molly? Is there sort of a, do a couple of songs lead into that, or?
Yeah, it all starts with the candle, and it goes into the Jonah, the portrait dressed in white, and then it finishes up with Haunted on side 2. And it's a fictive person. It's not a real person.
Now, when I was, prepping for the interview this afternoon, Molly, I guess, was a daughter, and her mother was jealous of her.
She was possessed with jealousy. She didn't want her little daughter to have any feelings for any other persons at all. So she locked her up in the attic so that she wouldn't see any other person, and that way she would never be able to have any feelings for anybody else but the mother. And then the mother came up with this great idea, because she was really proud of the daughter because she was very beautiful, and she still wanted to show the guests that she had coming by how beautiful a daughter she had. And she came up with the idea to paint the portrait of the daughter. In that way, people could see the daughter without the daughter seeing them. And then the whole thing starts, with for every stroke the mother she paints, she's dragging a little bit of the little girl's soul out, and it goes into the portrait that she's painting, and the portrait becomes alive. And it's a very long, complicated story to sit and tell here.
Okay. If you have any songs, now written for the next LP, will Molly be incorporated into the next album?
No, she will not.
No?
But there'll definitely be a little girl involved.
Okay, let's go back to the phones right now, and you're on the air. Who's this?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what would you like to ask King Diamond?
Yeah, how did you first get involved in, Satanism?
Oh, it goes along. I've always been fascinated by the occult mysticism. I always watched these old movies, Dracula, The Mummy, and Frankenstein, all those movies. And then later on, of course, The Exorcist and The Omen, things like that, which, in my opinion, is exaggerated, but they're very good entertainment. But then I had some very, very weird experiences which I could not explain at all. So I started looking into occult books, and later on I got hold of the Satanic Bible. That's 5 years ago now. The whole thing started actually with we had just received our first demo tape with Mercyful Fate, and we got back home. It was Drum and my brother. We were sitting down around the table and just opened our first beer, and suddenly my brother's glass rose into thin air, and I took that as a sign, from the power, saying congratulations with the tape and good luck. That was the way I saw it, and later on I put it into the lyrics of Welcome Princess of Hell, where the powers are singing back to me, we raise our glasses.
Okay, now King Diamond, you mentioned the first demo tape. If I'm correct, the demo was released in 1981. It had Walking Back to Hell, a song that later evolved into Dangerous Meeting, Running Free, Black Masses, and you say this hard rocker, there's no such song called hard rocker?
Yeah, that's true. I've never seen that title before.
Right, now for people who don't know what we're talking about, I have a demo in my hand that was circulated in the Metal Underground. Walking Back to Hell, Running Free, and Black Masses, those are all legitimate songs, right?
What do I mean by legitimate songs?
Those are all actual titles, right, that you came up with?
That's right, yeah.
But the only song that we have is Hard Rocker, and you know nothing about that, right?
No.
Okay. Now, Walking Back to Hell later evolved into Dangerous Meeting. Is there anything you want to, say about that?
Well, Dangerous Meeting was written as a warning to people not to get involved or mess around with doing seances if they know not what they're doing. If they don't have a proper medium, it can be pretty dangerous. And it can be dangerous in different ways. For instance, it's very tempting to ask those spirits, when you know that you've got the contact, you've got the proof that there's contact, it's very hard not to ask the question, when am I going to die? And if people are doing, having a party and, oh, let's have a seance and, oh, fancy, then those spirits can feel that instantly, that it's just a lot of, joking around. And they will hit back at you when they have given you the confidence that you're really in contact with some spirits, and then they'll tell you you're going to die within a year or so. And there's no future left for you if you had that message from something that you really experienced.
Okay, let's go back to the phones for King Diamond, live in Midnight Metal. You're on the air. Who's this?
Yeah, hi, this is Barry.
Yeah, Barry, what would you like to ask King Diamond?
Hi, King. I'd like to ask you where you got the idea for Corpse Without a Soul.
Well, that's a long time ago. It was, I don't actually remember how I got the idea, you know, but it must have been from some occult books I read. I guess that was the very beginning, you know, so that must have been it, you know.
Okay, we'll go back to this once again. RTN, who's this?
This is Marlo in Teaneck.
Marlo, how you doing?
Okay.
What would you
I'd
like to ask King Diamond?
What he does in his spare time when he's not singing in a rock and roll band.
Well, I'm playing very much guitar. I play at least 3 hours guitar every day, so that takes up a lot of my time, you know, composing new songs.
Now, speaking of playing guitar, King Diamond, besides playing all guitars on the track Voices from the Past on the new album, is it true that in Mercyful Fate you wrote all the guitar tracks?
No, I wrote all the guitar tracks for The Oath and Come to the Sabbath, and I wrote the guitar tracks together with Michael Denner on Gypsy, and now on this new album, 6 of the songs I've written all the guitar tracks for, and 3 of the songs in the new album I wrote the guitar tracks together with Michael Denner.
Right. Do you think, say maybe in a couple of years, there's a possibility that you will, once you take King Diamond on the road, that you will incorporate a third guitar on stage, or no?
No, not because I'm not that good at guitars. I admit that. The guys in the band are a lot better than I am, but I'll never be playing the guitar on stage again, no.
Okay. Was it hard for you to play guitar, all guitars on Voices from the Past, or did that come easy?
No, it's a very difficult part. There is a very difficult part where you have to put your fingers in an absolutely silly way, but we succeeded.
Okay, let's go back to the phones. Who's this?
Yeah, King Diamond's the best. I want to ask King Diamond a serious question.
Uh-huh.
Yo, King, how would you like to go to a trip to the planet of Thrashers?
The what?
The planet of Thrashers.
Pleasures?
The planet of Thrashers, I think she said. How would you like to go to the planet of Thrashers? I don't know what she means.
Explain yourself a little more.
She got cut off, but I don't know what she means. RTN, you're on the air.
Yeah, I want to ask King Diamond about the, I heard a rumor from his friend that he built a devil church in his backyard. I was just wondering if that was true.
That what?
That you built a devil church in your backyard?
No, I think that's a rumor because I don't have a backyard.
No, that's another Kerrang rumor. RTN, who's this?
Hello?
Yeah.
I want to ask a question to King.
Okay.
I understand that he and Mercyful Fate had a concert video made in Denmark, and if that's true, how come he doesn't have it? How come he doesn't bring it over to America so his fans could buy it?
Well, the thing was recorded by a local radio shop.
Is that the BBC?
No, definitely not. No, it was just a local radio shop, and we just asked them to go there and record the stuff so we could see what it looked like on stage and what things to correct later on. And this guy was definitely not a professional, you know, it's only one camera, and he's zooming in on Hank whenever Michael Denner is giving a guitar solo and vice versa, you know. And he was more interested in catching the half-naked girl on the cross than watching Hank doing his guitar solo. So you see, it's not, maybe it's worth something for really hardcore fans, but you know, we won't let it out because it's not that good.
Okay. Speaking of videos, have you ever thought of doing videos for the new Fatal Portrait LP?
Yeah, and I'm very sure that there's going to be one.
Okay. What song? Do you know?
No, that's not decided.
No. Okay. Will you video or film any concerts from the upcoming Fatal Portrait tour?
I'm very sure of that. Yes.
Okay. Let's go back to the air. Who's this?
This is Steve.
Steve, what do you want to say?
I gotta ask a question, alright?
Yep.
Slayer recently got signed by Def Jam Records, and they're being distributed by Columbia. I want to know if King Diamond thinks that he'll get hooked up with a major label sooner in the future.
Okay.
I think so, and I hope so, if we can maintain the same sort of contract that we've got now, where I have the total control over what songs are going to go on the albums. You know, nobody's going to come and tell us what sort of songs to compose or what sort of songs are going to be on the albums. Then we're definitely very, very interested in getting onto a major label.
As of now, do you have any major labels looking at you?
I think there are a couple, yes.
Okay. We'll go back to the phones. If you would like to talk, 636-1460, and you're next. Who's this? Who's this?
Hello?
Yeah.
This is Don from Bahara.
Dom, how you doing?
Cool. I expect to say Greg says hello from APAC and James.
Okay.
And I say, King Diamond, I love you. You're awesome. And I'd like to know, what do you think of God?
Well, I don't believe that God exists at all. I don't believe in him at all. That's what I have to say about God. He doesn't exist, in my opinion.
He doesn't. Is there anything else, you want to say on that? Because a lot of people.
And again, I like to say Satan, the way he's described in a lot of books with horns and long tail coming from flames, where there's eternal pain. I don't believe in that sort of thing either. Satan to me stands for the powers of the unknown, powers of darkness.
Right. Okay, so you don't believe that there is a actual God who is good and a Satan who is bad, and there's a conflict between them.
I believe that these powers I'm talking about are keeping everything in balance, and that's why we have to accept evil in this world, because there have to be a certain balance of the two. If one went away, the other one couldn't exist. It would be no fun just having the same feelings every day. You'd never be able to appreciate a good day if you hadn't experienced a bad day. You'd never be able to say, wow, what a day I had today, if you never experienced a bad day. That's just the way it is. You have to have 2 points of everything.
Okay. RTN, you're on the air. Who's this?
Joe.
Joe, what do you want to ask King Diamond?
Yes, I just want to ask him about the Satanic Bible.
Right.
The Book of Lucifer, the Enlightenment.
Uh-huh.
I just want to know what is meant by God once dead or alive.
Well, that's just the title of that chapter. It doesn't mean anything. It's there's another chapter in the book saying how to sell your soul, and you don't sell your soul in Satanism at all. So it's just a title for that, and that's described later on in that chapter what he really means. It's a long chapter as far as I recall.
Okay. Let's see. Why don't we do this? We want to give away copies of King Diamond's new album. So if you're calling now, hold on, and you'll get an album. Give us a call at 636-1460, and we'll give you an autographed copy of Fatal Portrait, the new album. Right now, we're gonna hit a commercial and come back with what would you like to play? Walking Back to Hell or the 1982 recording? What would you like to play? I think we should play this for people.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay, we'll come back and play a song, Walking Back to Hell, which later evolved into Dangerous Meeting, of course, on the Don't Break the Oath LP. We'll be back after this. Here live in the studio we have King Diamond, and some of the metal you hear on Midnight Metal is supplied to us by Slip Disc Records. They have 2 stores in Valley Stream and Port Washington. In Valley Stream they're at 68 Rockaway Avenue, and in Port Washington they're at 1023 Port Washington Boulevard. And Tony and I went in there last week, and Tony, you were stunned.
Stunned by the miraculous supply they have of metal albums, leather items, t-shirts, magazines. Unbelievable. No other place in New York, rather in the world probably, that has as much stuff as Slip Discs has. And as I want to suggest to everyone out there, including King, if they want to buy anything that's involved with metal, just go to Slip Disc Records out in Long Island.
Now speaking of leather, Tony, you got some leather merchandise. What'd you get, Tony?
At Slip Disc.
Come on. we have Hans from Crazy Eddie here. Hans, come here, Hans. Come on, Hans. No. Hans will be opening up his own store, and I want you to tell us about that, Hans. Come on. It'll be the best, don't worry. All right, Hans is shy. Let's see. So go to Slip Disc. They have the latest releases from Ozzy Osbourne, and you can call them up at 516-872-0516 or in Valley Stream at 516-944-7704. And right now, King Diamond, tell us about this song. This is Walking Back to Hell, the song that later evolved into Dangerous Meeting. This was from a 1981 demo. Now, tell us about this demo.
I don't really know. Obviously, we've got 2 different
versions.
Yeah, of that song. I only recall us recording it once. So, well, I'm gonna be surprised when I hear it. Probably, I can tell you afterwards.
Okay, so we'll hear it now. This is Walking Back to Hell from Mercyful Fate's first demo in 1981. Let's all check it out from Midnight Metal. and that is Dangerous Meaning from Mercyful Fate's second LP, and we have King Diamond live in the studio here at Midnight Metal 93.5 FM WRTN. Before Dangerous Meaning, we heard a 1981 Mercyful Fate demo containing Walking Back to Hell, which later evolved into Dangerous Meeting. Also containing on that demo was Running Free and Black Masses. And we're going to go back to the phones for King Diamond. Who's this?
Hello, my name is Mike. I'm from Corona.
Right.
I'd like to know, do you have any good advice for bands? Because I'm starting my own band. I want to know if you have any good advice.
Well, if you're about to sign a record deal, then get in touch with a lawyer, because otherwise you're going to get screwed up. And then the most important thing is, keep going. That's the best advice, never give up, even though people tell you that you don't do well or whatever. If you really want to make it, just keep going. That's the best advice.
Now, your manager right now, King Diamond, is Ola Bang. Were you always with him?
Yeah, ever since we started here, Ole and I have done all the business side of Mercyful Fate and now King Diamond.
Speaking of that, if people want to write you, the new King Diamond fan club is called the King Diamond Coven as compared to the Mercyful Fate Coven. Where can they write you?
They can write at the fan club address, which is on the backside of the album. It's PG Rams Alley, number 66, and that's Fredericksburg, but you wouldn't be able to spell it anyway. So look at the backside of the album, that's where the address is.
Okay, we'll go back to the phones. Who's this?
This is Jared from Westbury.
Yeah, what would you like to ask King Diamond?
I want to know exactly what happened when Mercyful Fate was touring around with Manowar in Europe.
Okay.
Oh, well, we got a pretty good lesson there of how bands can treat their support acts. First of all, we didn't expect to get a sound check because usually you never get that when you're supporting another band. But when we started playing, the monitor system was cut off in the middle of the first song, never came back. So I had to sing the entire set with a finger in my ear, and it didn't look very good. And apart from that, they pulled the plug on Michael's amplifier just when he was entering the guitar piece for the intro of Into the Coven. And that sort of things just went on for the entire time that we played there, and we only had 8 channels on the mixing disc. Our sound engineer couldn't touch a button. Their sound engineer had to be there, and it was so silly, the whole thing. And we had an agreement with them trucking our gear from the first gig, and they knew nothing about that. They could tie it on top of one of the trucks if we wanted to do that, and it just didn't work out at all. So rather than touring around in England and people not being able to even recognize the songs that we were doing, because that was as poor as sound that we really got at that first gig, we would rather, leave the whole thing, lose a pretty big amount of money instead of, getting a bad reputation and not being able to play live.
Okay, we're gonna wrap it up right now with King Diamond. We have lots of phones going nuts here, and when the phones calm down, we're gonna give away copies of Fatal Portrait. Let's see, I know there's something else I wanted to ask you. Why don't we reiterate, for people who want to know, King Diamond will be touring with Megadeth, and the tour should hit New York when?
The beginning of July.
And as sources say here in New York, that tour will hit the Ritz, and if it does, it will be a WRTN night at the Ritz. And let's see, I'm looking down my sheets here. What else do we want to ask him? Let's see. How about
just refresh his memory on the demo tape when he said he wanted to listen to it.
Right.
And he says he did remember, so if you want to explain that.
Yeah, that was the very, very first demo we ever made. The band was not complete at that point. The song you heard was recorded by Hank, a guitarist called Carsten, and myself. And that was the 3 people that you heard there. Hank was playing the bass and the other guitarist was playing the drums. So that was a pretty weird thing, but that was the way it all started up before we had the final lineup.
Again, are there any songs recorded for the next album? Are there any songs that you have already, set up, ready to go for next album?
We have the music for 2 songs ready, yes. No lyrics.
Okay, no titles, so.
No.
No? Okay, is there anything that you would like to say to the listeners of Midnight Metal?
I definitely hope to see them all when we get back to the States in July and start touring, because we have a show for you that will turn everything into one big Halloween party.
Okay, and let me ask you about this. This, of course, is not included on the Fatal Portrait LP. This is a tune called No Presents for Christmas, and you heard it first on Midnight Metal when it came out. We were playing at first courtesy of the guys at Slip Disc. No Presents for Christmas. Anything you want to say about that?
Yeah, the song was written by pure coincidence because I was playing guitar with Michael at my place one day, and suddenly one of us got into one of those old Christmas songs, you know, and it sounded funny and stupid, and we started doing some more of that stuff, and then finally one of us said, why don't we do a Christmas single, you know, it's just a silly idea. But then we started working on it, and finally we put the whole thing together, and, you know, the words are so silly, so it can't get worse, actually.
Okay, was there any thought of ever incorporating this on the album or no?
No, never.
No, okay.
But we're definitely going to play it live, even if we could do it in July, and I hope that everybody out there is going to be singing along with us on Jingle Bells.
Speaking of playing this live, how many, if any, Mercyful Fate tunes will you play live?
We'll definitely play 4 songs live. We're going to play The Oath, Come to the Sabbath, Gypsy, and Evil.
Okay, and we want to thank King Diamond for stopping by here.
You're welcome.
All the way from Denmark at Midnight Metal, a first here at WRTN. And definitely catch him on tour with Megadeth coming soon. We hope to the Ritz, as we have heard, in July. And when the phones calm down, we're going to give away copies of his new LP, and we'll have him autograph them, Fatal Portrait. And this is a tune called No Presents for Christmas at Midnight Metal. King Diamond live in the studio at RTN.